You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? Easy. Just use Indeed. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. With Indeed sponsored jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. According to Indeed data, sponsored jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applications than non-sponsored jobs. Don't wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Just go to Indeed.com/PODKATZ13 right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring? Indeed is all you need.
Welcome to the Jeremy Hanson podcast, and this is a first for me. Also, We Are the Hansons podcast. That's my wife's and mine and our 13 kids and everybody's podcast. But today, we're talking about something that affects both listener bases. We're talking about entrepreneurism. We're talking about kids. We're talking about 5 ways that you can foster, that you can nurture that entrepreneurial spirit in your children. I think that it's important. I really do. As I was growing up, I got to be around my parents. Both of my parents were entrepreneurs. My dad was a tradesman, and my mother was a college-educated woman. So I got to see it from both sides, but both of them became entrepreneurs. Both of them were successful, and I learned a lot from them and the people that they talked to. So I want my kids to have that entrepreneurial spirit, and boy, do they ever. I've got a couple little daughters that I have caught doing things like they would take oranges out of the refrigerator, sit in front of the house, and they would sell them to our postman. Now, I'm not kidding. If there was an opportunity, they were taking it. And that is the entrepreneurial spirit. That is seeing mom and dad do things and trying to do it yourself. So my thing is how then? How do we nurture that? How do we foster that? Obviously, there has to be boundaries because, we got to keep our kids safe. And, you want your kids to be kids. You want them to go down their life path because it's their life. It's not ours. We might not agree with everything they do, but we try to nurture them to be the best people that they can be. And secondly, we want to give them the tools that they need to become successful later on in life. So I came up with this thing, these 5 things that we can do as parents to nurture their entrepreneurial spirit. And I think every parent out there, they want their kids to do better than them. So you want to start them young. Like all these lessons, you should really watch what you talk about, and you should really watch how you act, because just you acting like an entrepreneur, they're going to pick up from that. What I've noticed about kids is they are much more learning, or that sounds terrible. They learn much more from watching the way you are than the words you say. So I really think that you need to bring kids on as much as you can, if you know what I'm saying. Like, 1, encourage problem solving. Okay, and some people will disagree with me on this, not about that side of it, but not just rule following. Okay, I want them to be independent. I want them to be a free spirit. I want them to be independent thinkers. I want to encourage them, go fix a problem. Fix it. Not just rule following. I think to be a good entrepreneur, sometimes you need to break the rules, if you know what I'm saying. You got to teach your kid, let them learn to think critically. Teach your kids to explore solutions on their own. Okay. And here's the thing. You have to let your kids fail sometimes. They're going to figure it out. That's one of the hardest things in the world as a parent, is to let your kid fail. But, with them failing, you're actually preparing them, for later on in life. The truth is, if you want your kid to be a good entrepreneur, make them what an entrepreneur is. And an entrepreneur is a professional problem solver. And it is what it is. Ask them a lot of questions like, how would you fix this? And be in tune with them, like literally ask them and want the answer. Don't just say it, but actually want the answer. Or what's another way? Do you want to try it? Some of the best times that I've had with my kids have been working on things or doing stuff like that. It turns out that it's a chore when we start, and it ends up being some really, really good quality time, after. Supporting curiosity, and I guess with that, creativity. What I have noticed with entrepreneurs is that big ideas are usually small ideas that come from the weirdest places, and they get big. Give your kids some space, okay? Let them do the things that kids do. Let them tinker around. Let them build something. Let them draw something. Let them code something. Let them sell something. Let them experiment with themselves, because they come up with these great, great ideas. Like I said, my daughter's literally sitting there selling oranges. So my older daughter came out. She was 12 at the time, and she saw them doing it, and they had like $4. But they were selling those little mini oranges. And she's like, Dad, can I do something like this? So my daughter asked if I went and got her watermelons, if we could split the profit. And I told her yes, and I ended up giving her all the profit. But I went and paid for the watermelons, and she sat there, 12 years old, and sold watermelons and made a bunch of money. And it turned out that it really helped her talk to people. It really gave her some confidence, and she learned about saving. Okay, once she had the money, she's still got some of that money in her bank now. So if your kid wants to do a side hustle, lemonade stand, build something, craft something, do some YouTube ideas, do anything that sparks their creativity and ownership, folks. That's how you build a strong entrepreneurial spirit. And that's how you foster their ideas. Now, they might not have some real good ideas. They might want to try something. And it's your job as a parent to try to guide that, okay? But don't be afraid of failure with them. And talk about it the whole way and make it a fun adventure. You want this entrepreneurial spirit to flourish, okay? You want them to understand the ups and the downs and doing things, but at this point, you want to give them a good attitude about doing this stuff. Okay? Just remember, if it's safe, okay, let them try it. Make sure that you say yes to weird ideas more often than no. Okay? If it's not safe, obviously, don't let them do it. But give them the space to grow. Okay? The truth is, if you start with this with your child when they're young, they're probably going to be a better entrepreneur than you are when you get older, or at least we can hope, right? One thing that my parents and my grandparents did for me that I do feel bad, I feel like this is a big disadvantage to some people, is they don't get taught financial literacy when they're young. They don't get taught how to handle money. They don't get taught to save money. I remember my nephew, he wanted this deer hunting rifle, and it was expensive. And he went to his dad and he said, hey, I want this. And his dad said, well, you better get a job then. So my nephew goes out and he gets a push mower and he goes around and he mows and he mows and he mows. And this was not a cheap hunting rifle. This was an expensive one. And he mowed, and I think it was like $480 some, which I guess now, this is 10 years ago, but I guess now it's not that much, but it was $480 and he did it. And he went to his dad and he said, Dad, I got enough money. And he's like, all right, we'll head down there after a little bit. They jump in the truck. They go down there. They got exactly the one he wants. And he goes to put his money down. And his dad looked at him and he says, put it in your pocket. And he put it in his pocket and he said, now you know what it's like to work for something. And his dad bought it for him. And I always thought that was one of the best gestures and one of the best ways to teach your kid about working for something. It has value now. And teaching financial literacy like that, I see it work today because my nephew is one of the hardest workers I know. He's one of the best savers I know. He's one of the people that take care of the things that he's got because he worked really hard for it. And I think that's all in the name of teaching him some financial literacy, just the basics. You know, try to use everything that you go through, your life moments, okay, with your kids, budgeting, saving, maybe investing and value. Okay, I think one of the biggest things that gets forgotten about is value. Not just the value of stuff, but the value of hard work, the value of paying attention to people, the value of being a decent human being. All of those things are important to learn, and it's important to learn if you're going to be an entrepreneur, especially with your kids. Give them chances to earn money and help them, guide them with their decisions on how they're going to use the money. Okay, I've opened up just the simple business bank accounts for my kids, just at my local bank. Some people, they go use tools like Greenlight or Go Henry. You can actually go practice stuff there. I think that it's important. I think you need to teach kids how to balance a checkbook. I think you need to teach kids how to look at investments and investment rates. All of these things that we kind of take for granted today, but I don't see school teaching them that stuff. So teach financial literacy early. Your kids can never be a boss of anything unless they know how money works, okay? Now, this is important. You need to normalize the acceptance of failure, but the resilience to fix failure. The truth is, your average entrepreneur is going to lose about 50 times before they win. So if failure becomes devastating to them, they will never be able to be an entrepreneur. So you got to celebrate effort. You got to celebrate critical thinking, celebrate resilience, celebrate the bounce back moments. Okay, you can't just celebrate success. Okay, it's the pathway there. It's the road there that you want to celebrate and show them that it's important to celebrate the little things. And the older you get in life, the more you're going to understand that. And I think if you can start them early learning that, you're doing them a big favor. Make sure that they feel like they belong. Make sure that they feel like, they're not stupid. Say, yeah, you know what? I did this. I did that. Make them part of you and how you had to learn with some of your failures, some of your setbacks, and then how you overcame it. Tell them the stories. Let them compute that in their head. Let them know that they are, part of you and part of the things that you went through. Don't ever try to be, I've been perfect and I built this perfect thing, because you know that it's not true, and that can be devastating for children. Let them see, this is important too. Let them see rejection. Okay, and I think it's so important when you teach your kids about selling, because entrepreneurism, at the end of the day, you're fixing a problem, but you're in sales and you might be selling yourself, a service, a product, who knows what it is. But if you teach your kids that rejection is just a step on the road to success, that it's not a stopping point, it's just, okay, on to the next, you are going to do them big, big, big favors later on in life. Not just with entrepreneurism, but you're going to do that with their just daily life. Okay, and then finally, just remember this. Kids become what they see. Okay, kids do not become what they're told. Kids become what they see. So let them hear you talk about the risks. Let them hear you talking about building value. Let them hear you talk about solving problems and creating goals. Make sure that you include them in conversations about businesses or jobs or challenges, how you treat people, the right thing to do. You can even tell them about how hard it is to do some of the right things that you do and why. Show them that they don't need anybody else to create their success path, their happiness path, and that they are in control of their own future. And let them dream and let them build big. And remember that you are the model for your kids' entrepreneurial thinking and the way they're going to treat people. They become what they see us do. So you better make sure that you're doing the right thing. All right, folks, thank you to We Are the Hansons, all you out there that listen to that. And thank you for the Jeremy Hanson podcast followers. I just thought this one was a good thing. I practice this. I do this. I think that it's important. And you know what? We love you guys. Thank you for listening. Go check out jeremyhanson.pro. We got some awesome things coming up, and we are wherever great podcasts are. Thank you for listening. Bye-bye.